Before we get to today's show, I wanted to share a quick reminder that being financially organized is one of the biggest factors in building wealth. Want to be a millionaire? It's not going to happen if you're not organized with your money. So, how can you get organized? Well, our favorite app is Empower. It's free, allows you to connect your banks and brokers, and it gives you daily income and expense updates. Ready to try it out? You can sign up at thecollegeinvestor.com/empowermoney. Hello and welcome to the College Investor Audio Show. So glad you're hanging out with us today. So here's something interesting. Millions leaving Save could still owe $0 per month, but most people haven't run the numbers. If you're in that boat, we're going to dive into those brilliant numbers in just a bit. But first, just a quick reminder, anytime you hear a podcast, there's an article along with it at thecollegeinvestor.com. You can dive deeper, find all the links and resources right inside the article. Also, follow and like and subscribe and all the clicky things you do on social media. Type in the words The College Investor, you'll find us. All right, let's take a look at this. So more than 7 million student loan borrowers are being pushed off of the SAVE plan in the next few months, pretty much right now. And for many, the anxiety is real. Let's just calm things down a bit today. Because after nearly 2 years of forbearance, they're kind of bracing for a monthly bill that they fear they will not be able to afford. But we've been seeing something very interesting in our comments on social media. Borrowers are surprised that they can still secure a $0 monthly payment on IBR, which makes sense. If historical patterns hold, at least 3 million of these borrowers would still qualify for a $0 monthly payment under income-based repayment or IBR. They just haven't run the numbers yet. That's why borrowers need to use a student loan calculator and see what their expected payments would be. I put in some hypotheticals inside the student loan calculator we have on our website at thecollegeinvestor.com. I came back several times as owing $0, $10, low payments. So the Department of Education began notifying enrolled borrowers on July 1st that they have 90 days to choose a new repayment plan. No, you don't. It's just do it today, right? Borrowers who don't move in time are going to be moved to a new plan automatically. That deadline has created a scramble among borrowers who in some cases haven't made a payment since March of 2020. Crazy. So here's what borrowers might be missing about still having a $0 payment. Look, the $0 payment has always been more common than you might think. $0 monthly non-payments are not a SAVE invention. They are not a SAVE plan invention. They've been a standard feature of income-driven repayment, or IDR, for more than 10 years, and they have already covered or always covered a large share of enrollees. Before the pandemic hit, roughly 8.2 million borrowers were enrolled in IDR plans, according to federal student aid data from late 2019. That same year, Center for American Progress Analysis cited in an NPR investigation, they found that nearly half of them, roughly 4 million, had a $0 scheduled payment, which is not a payment at all. Why do we call them payments? You're not doing anything. Anyway, the Government Accountability Office reported the same pattern within Repay, which is the predecessor to SAVE, where slightly more than half of borrowers were scheduled to pay $0 because of low reported income. Now, in fairness, SAVE did push that share higher because SAVE used a 225% discretionary income formula compared to 150% under older plans. The GAO found that nearly 60% of SAVE borrowers with scheduled payments, 3.6 million of 6.2 million, owed nothing as of January 1st, 2024. The Education Department later reported that 4.6 million of the more than 8 million borrowers who enrolled in SAVE had a $0 payment. Put simply, for the entire history of income-driven repayment, roughly half of borrowers at any given time have owed no monthly payment. Okay, estimating the data today. So here's the math we used to estimate potentially $0 monthly payments using deliberately conservative assumptions. Could be more than this, probably is. Step 1, Total SAVE borrowers, roughly 7.7 million borrowers were enrolled in SAVE or this forbearance, and they have to move to a new plan. The department has said 1 million have changed plans, but we'll just go ahead and use the original total. Step 2. How many SAVE borrowers had $0 payments? Let's take a look. GAO data shows 58% of SAVE borrowers had $0 payments, 3.6 million divided by 6.2 million as of early 24. Step 3. Adjust for IBR's 150% threshold. IBR is not as generous as SAVE was. For a single borrower in 26, the $0 cutoff falls from about $35,910 in adjusted gross income, 225% of the poverty line, to $23,000, which is 150%. History also tells us what happens at that lower threshold. Plans using 150%, which would be the repay, the pay, and the IBR, produced $0 payments for roughly half of enrollees before the pandemic, which would be about 4 million of 8.2 million in 2019. Step 4. Adjust for old income data. Most SAVE borrowers last certified income in 23 or earlier, and wages have grown since. Okay, so some borrowers who owed $0 then will earn too much now. But to be conservative, we actually assume the $0 share falls to 40 to 45%, which would be below anything observed in the program's history, rather than that 45 to 55% in pre-pandemic record. Step 5. Multiply. 7.7 million times 40% is 3.1 million. 7.7 million times 45% is 3.5 million. The estimate? Anywhere between 3.1 to 3.5 million borrowers, let's call it like at least 3 million, would likely qualify for no payment on the IBR plan. Even if the true share of borrowers fell all the way to 35%, a level with no historical precedent, that would still be 2.7 million paying nothing. 2 caveats here. This is an estimate, of course, not an official Department of Education figure. ED has not published a projection of $0 payment eligibility for SAVE borrowers moving to IBR, and the estimate only holds for borrowers who actually choose IBR. Those who choose WRAP or a standard plan will always have an above $0 payment, regardless of income. A lot of people will have just $10 on the WRAP plan. Here's why the plan you pick matters. The choice borrowers make in the next 90 days carries more weight than past plan switches, because the new repayment assistance plan, WRAP, which opened July 1st, breaks with years of IDR design. WRAP has no $0 payment option. Borrowers with adjusted gross income of $10,000 or less pay $10 a month, minimum, and payments scale from 1% to 10% of total AGI as your income goes up, with a $50 monthly deduction per dependent. WRAP does offer benefits older plans don't, though, including an interest subsidy that prevents balances from growing and a principal match of up to $50 per month. But for the lowest income borrowers, WRAP means paying something every month when it used to be $0, which is it's only $10. You could probably afford that, I'm just saying. IBR, by contrast, does keep the $0 payment. Borrowers can also move to PAYE, pay, or ICR temporarily, but those plans sunset July 1st of 2028, forcing a second switch later on. Don't pick those plans. That's the moral of the story there. So here's what this means for your family's budget. For families bracing for a new bill, the practical advice is pretty simple here. Calculate before you panic. The College Investor Student Loan Calculator and app can help with this. Find it on the App Store, all the app places, and just at thecollegeinvestor.com. So easy, it took me 10 seconds to just put in some hypothetical numbers and find my payment. It's pretty amazing. A single borrower earning $23,000 would pay $0 on IBR, but about $38 per month on WRAP, which would be 2% of AGI. A single borrower earning $30,000 lands at roughly $50 per month on either plan. A married borrower with 2 kids and $45,000 in household AGI, $0 on IBR, but about $50 on WRAP after the $50 per dependent deduction. The right answer differs by, of course, income, family size, loan age, and how long a borrower has already been in repayment, especially for anyone pursuing public service loan forgiveness or time-based loan forgiveness, where months at $0 actually count fully. The worst outcome is doing nothing. Borrowers who miss their 90-day window will be placed in a plan they didn't choose, and borrowers who simply stop paying face delinquency, which would damage your credit severely. And, of course, with collections restarting soon, wage garnishment and offset of tax refunds, etc., etc. Don't wait. Pick a plan today. We can help you. thecollegeinvestor.com, social media, type in The College Investor. Let us help you and assist you in finding the right plan for your family. All right, that is our show for today. Thank you so much for stopping by, and we'll talk to you again real soon.